pieces for you, and copies of the poster that is already existing. Sorry. If you guys want to pass these around. And the press release will go out on flash as soon as we're done down here. But that's the hard copy of the press release. Everybody has the names of the speakers? Okay, thank you. You guys all have the names of the speakers? So the two primary speakers will be SAC Doug Olson from Portland and SAC Mike Herrington from the Seattle FBI. And then the assistant chiefs from Portland and Vancouver will be here as well. But the main remarks will come from the FBI. The first speaker is normal height, and the second speaker is very tall.
For the names here, it says W. Mike Herrington.
That's what he goes by officially. So you
use W.
you font it however you want, but that's what he uses for quotes and official business.
Yeah, we would like the W and lower.
Yeah. Okay. He's taller than me.
Oh, he's taller.
Okay. Okay. All right. They'll be in just a couple minutes, and then we'll get started. Yes.
I miss those lenses. Yeah. This is an electronic lens, so sometimes it wants to focus on something else. And even though I'm in manual mode, I still focus. And then I just don't like the pull on this thing. Just isn't like an in the macro that one works for long. Yeah. I know.
Just a note from the studio, we are awaiting this update from the Portland and Seattle FBI, who will be talking about the ballot box fires, and we'll get that going as soon as they're here.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Olson. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI in Oregon, and I'm joined by Mike Herrington, who's the SAC of the FBI in Washington State. Together, we're joined by our local law enforcement partners, Assistant Chief Pat Moore from the Vancouver Police Department and Assistant Chief Chuck Lavelle from Portland Police Bureau. There's two primary reasons we've asked you all here today. First, we want to share some more information that we've learned about the devices that were used back in October during the ballot box attacks. And second, we need your help. We need more information from the public to help us identify a suspect. Before I get into that, I want to review some of the background on the case. So we're talking about three separate incidents. The first incident occurred on October 8th when a device was placed on a ballot box at the intersection of West 14th Street and Esther Street in Vancouver at about 3:45 a.m. On October 28th, a second device was attached to the side of a ballot box located on the north side of the Fisher's Landing Transit Center near Southeast 164th Avenue entrance at about 2:35 a.m. That same evening, a third device was attached to the side of the ballot box outside the Multnomah County Elections Office at the intersection of Southeast Belmont Street and 11th Avenue at about 3:08 a.m. We believe the suspect used thermite devices. Thermite devices are composed of metal shavings and iron oxide. Iron oxide is also known as rust. This is a very volatile mix that can burn as hot as 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The person responsible welded the devices using scrap metal for the exterior and then inserted thermite into the interior of the devices. Thermite looks like metal shavings or metal powder. Each device likely contained a coffee cup sized portion of thermite. Welders sometimes use thermite to weld metal pieces together, but in the hands of someone who isn't focused on safety, thermite is extremely dangerous. I want to stress we are very concerned that the person who set these devices may end up hurting himself or other unsuspecting family members or neighbors. We don't know how the suspect interacts with others, but even a loner would likely spend extra time with family, friends, or others during the holiday season. Also, given the time that's passed between the incidents and now, the suspect may be less guarded about what he shares during these interactions. The suspect may have inadvertently exposed details that can help us. We're asking anyone in the Pacific Northwest who may have had unusual interactions with someone or observed unusual activity to come forward and help us identify the individual. SAC Herrington.
All right. Thank you, Doug. I have to emphasize, we're very worried that this person may harm himself or others if he continues to experiment with thermite. We can't stress that enough. In addition to the physical risks, these devices can cause significant damage to homes, storage areas, or testing locations such as fields and forests. We have a list of factors we're asking people to look for and/or to consider if they've observed such factors previously. No one single factor may indicate involvement, and likewise, the suspect may not show all of these factors. But no piece of information is too small. We take the tips, compare them to investigative information we've not yet released, and the information gaps we know remain. We ask that you let us evaluate the information you share to determine if your tip can help us move this case forward. Here are the factors we want you to consider. Changes in a person's emotional state, particularly as related to the case or the recent election. These changes could include increased anxiety, irritability, nervousness, excitability, or frustration. Changes in a person's normal routine, such as distancing from friends or family, or missing work or other normal activities. Demonstration of unusual behaviors, to include researching thermite, grinding metals, showing a new interest in welding small projects, and/or collecting small scraps of metal such as nuts, bolts, and pipe end caps. Unusual interest in or knowledge of incendiary devices, especially those involving thermite. Unusual or unexplained storage of metal shavings and/or burn damage to a home, storage area, or wilderness area. Unusual interest in this case, such as closely following the news coverage or expressing admiration of the person responsible. Increased fixation on the current political climate, especially as related to the recent election. Someone recently disposing of or stopping the use of a Volvo S60 sedan. As a reminder, the suspect was driving a black or dark gray 2003 or 2004 Volvo S60 sedan with a light colored interior. The trim was worn. The car has a sunroof and dark aftermarket rims, and it's missing the Volvo logo normally affixed to the front grille. It's possible the suspect has done work to paint the car to change its color, repair the worn trim, or replace the aftermarket rims. The suspect may also have sold or tried to sell the car or disposed of it through other means. We believe the suspect is a man, but we're open to the slight possibility that the suspect is either a woman and/or they have an accomplice, which could be either male or female. Now, the FBI is offering a reward of up to $25,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the person responsible. We ask anyone with information to contact us by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or reporting online at tips.fbi.gov. In addition, we want to remind you that Crime Stoppers of Oregon has offered a reward of up to $2,500 in this case. This case is a top priority for both of our field offices and our law enforcement partners. Election security is one of the FBI's highest national security priorities, and Americans have a right to expect free and fair elections. Finally, we want to again acknowledge our partners for their assistance, particularly the Vancouver Police Department and the Portland Police Bureau. So those conclude our remarks. I believe we are opening up for questions.
Did you receive many tips initially after the reward was issued in November, I believe?
I believe we did receive a good number of tips, and we've been looking into those and integrating them into our investigative process, but it does remain an ongoing investigation.
Why do you believe the suspect might have an accomplice?
Do you have any details on that, Doug?
Yeah, I think we're just leaving all options open. I don't think we have anything that substantively shows that the individual has an accomplice, but we also don't want to limit that option going forward in the investigation.
Are tips still coming in?
They are, but we've gone through the holiday season. We did, if you guys remember, we did a press release in the end of in November before the holidays, and we thought it was appropriate to do another one now to see if anybody has witnessed any new information that they may want to report, and then also let people know that even if it's like a small detail, it may be useful.
Do we believe the suspect is still in the area?
I don't
Or do we even know that?
I don't know that we know that.
You know, for someone that carried out acts like these for the election, with the inauguration coming up, any concern that someone like this might act out again in advance of that?
Yeah, I mean, it is a possibility. In fact, we're very worried about threats of all different natures against the inauguration and other significant events like that. We don't have any indication that this particular subject might do that, but one of the things that we continue to investigate is what the actual motive was behind this. And until we gain greater clarity on that, it's a little difficult to predict what else the suspect may be interested in doing.
Was the thermite discovered later after lab tests were done, or was that discovered right away?
I think, you want to take
I think there were indications that were thermite, but we hadn't confirmed it at the time, so we have at this point, and we wanted to make sure we shared that with everyone.
Is thermite easily accessible? Could anybody get their hands on this? Or
I think thermite is pretty easily made. It's a compound where you need heat, and then you need iron oxide, and then you need metal shavings. So that's no secret.
That was actually my question.
obviously, this has been very widely covered. Is there anything from the FBI that you wish media outlets were focusing more on to help catch the suspect?
We appreciate you all being here today so that we can share this information. Like, there's additional information that we're sharing, and I think when people see like the level of the information, then maybe they may have noticed something that they didn't think was important before, but now they may want to share with us. And we expect, based on the engagement with you today, that we will receive help from the public, and that's what we're looking for.
Obviously, there is no.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I just want to add one thing on that. Like, I would ask you again to kind of focus on some of the key facts that we have shared on this. When you're talking about this, that would be very helpful to us. Again, those behavioral changes that I ran through, the details about the car, and then, of course, information about people who may be, working with or looking into thermite and welding.
Obviously, there's no upcoming election that we need to be concerned about, but moving forward, if you're not able to catch the suspect, do either FBI offices intend to bolster security into the next election?
I think this has always been a high priority for us, and we take a variety of different measures, including engagement with election officials, engagement with the community in the run-up one of these things, as well as working with our partners to evaluate security around an election. So it has always been a priority for us, and I think you can continue to see that going forward. Doug, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would just add that you probably noticed that after these events occurred, our partners did step up security around the ballot box locations in the areas that we thought might be threatened. So I think that's a consistent response that you would see, but we're working very hard on this case. We're putting a lot of resources toward it, so our expectation is to eventually identify the individual and bring him to justice.
What charges could they be facing?
There's a number of charges on both the federal and local side that could be applied to this.
Have you seen the use of thermite and other type of alleged arson attacks?
Right now, this particular incident, we haven't connected it to any other cases that we're working.
Were you able to obtain any other surveillance video close to those ballot boxes and review that footage?
We can't comment on all the video we have, but what I can tell you is like the best video that we have in terms of the images of the perpetrator have been pushed out through you guys.
Any last questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here today.
All right, so again, that was an update from the FBI offices from Seattle and Portland discussing the ballot box fires that happened in November and the suspect they are trying to seek on that. The basic information that we got is they're looking for the public's help in tracking down this individual. They said if you know anyone whose behavior may have changed, particularly around the election, may have said something about the fires, or maybe is experimenting with thermite. They did say that thermite was used for the fires themselves, but other than that, it does seem that they don't seem to be any closer in finding the suspect than they were back when these actually happened. So the main thing there was that the takeaway is that they're seeking the public's help. So if you do have information, you can contact the FBI. If we do have any other information to share for you, we will certainly get that to you here from Fox 12 Oregon. You can go to kptv.com. But overall, that press conference basically just said that they are seeking the public's help, and it doesn't sound like they're much closer to finding this person. So there you go. We bring that to you directly to you here, live streaming as part of Fox 12 Now and Fox 12 Oregon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Nippler.